Thomas and Bertie have been firm friends ever since their great race. They love to tell their friends about it whenever they get the chance to. When waiting at signals or level crossings, for example. And sometimes, Bertie even comes to visit Thomas at Tidmouth Sheds, where they'll tell the whole story all over again. They always enjoyed listening to Thomas and Bertie telling their stories about their race. But one night, James came home late. As he spun on the turntable, he spoke rudely to Thomas and Bertie. "Ugh, you're telling that same old story again," he complained. "Shh, shh," said Edward. "We're about to reach the best part." "But it's the same thing every time," said James. They met up. Bertie challenged Thomas. Thomas couldn't go faster first. He remembered the level crossing, then the road left the railway, and... "I think we'd rather let Thomas and Bertie tell the story," said Gordon. "I'd rather not," said James. "Now be off, Bertie, and leave us in peace." "Oh, okay," said Bertie sadly. "I guess I'll see you tomorrow then, Thomas," said Bertie, and he reversed away. "Well, I hope you're happy, James," said Thomas. "I am," said James. "We finally get some peace around here." "Just because you'll never win in a race against Bertie doesn't mean we can't hear the story about Thomas beating him," chuckled Henry. "Pah!" snorted James. "Me lose to that bus? Rubbish. I could beat him any day." "You couldn't beat him," said Gordon, "even if he had an empty tank of petrol. You'd never beat him." "I can, and that's an end of it," said James crossly. And with that, James went to sleep. The next morning, James was waiting at the big station for his passengers. He was still fuming about his friends last night. Soon the guard blew his whistle and waved his green flag. James was just about to leave when a streak of red came racing past him. "Bust my buffers, what was that?" he cried. He soon discovered that it was Bertie. "I wonder what he's in such a hurry for," said James. Then James had a thought. "I know what he's doing. He thinks he can beat me in a race. Well, I'll show him. A bus like him doesn't get a head start from a red engine like me," and he puffed on his way. Bertie zoomed over the level crossing up ahead. James went as fast as he could to keep up with him. Bertie zoomed under the bridge, while James climbed it. Bertie zoomed along the road. While James climbed the next hill over the viaduct. I'll beat him, James panted as he passed Farmer McCall's field. "I'll beat Bertie or bust," James said as he hurried over the suspension bridge. "Whoa, James!" cried his driver as he hurried down the hill. James whooshed through Napper Station. "Cinders and ashes!" cried Edward. "Slow down, James!" But of course James didn't. He raced right through Napper Junction. James rounded the corner and plunged into the tunnel. Bertie the bus crossed the level crossing behind him. I'll win, puffed James as he panted over the bridge. James went speeding through the junction and turned right at the T crossing. But somehow, James saw that Bertie was ahead of him. "Oh no you don't," he cried. Then there was trouble. Bill and Ben were at the station, just as Bertie pulled in. "No," wailed James as he rounded the bend. But then there was trouble. James's driver applied the brakes, but nothing happened. "Cinders and ashes!" cried James. There was no wall at the back of Kirk Rowan station. James's wheels left the rails and he tumbled off the line. Luckily, no one was hurt. Bill and Ben hurried away to fetch Harvey, the crane engine. Bill and Ben soon came back. Harvey the crane engine had helped to lift James up onto a flatbed. But the Fat Controller had also been brought. "Why were you going so fast, James?" he asked. James told the Fat Controller all about what had happened last night at Tidmouth Sheds, and about him thinking that Bertie wanted a race. Bertie pulled up near James. "I never wanted a race," said Bertie. "Then why were you going so fast past the station?" said James. "I was held up," said Bertie. "I was just hurrying to get to the station on time." James was utterly shocked. "If you hadn't thought about trying to be the best," said the Fat Controller, "this wouldn't have happened." "You've suffered a lot of injuries, James," said the Fat Controller. "Harvey will take you and your tender to the works. I hope that from now on you'll think twice about putting your vanity in front of your work," finished the Fat Controller. "I think James will in future. Don't you?"